friend of the show, Bashar al-Assad, his wife, Asma, who, by the way, is suffering from leukemia. And it's very, I think, sick that a lot of people that are celebrating the downfall of the Assads, who've been friends of the program for years, are cheering on Luigi Mangione for shooting a healthcare executive and yet applauding the downfall of a woman with leukemia. And that makes you think. And were the Assads perfect? No, probably not. I don't know. Is anyone perfect? But now that they're gone, you know, we don't know. We don't know. The rebels, we're just calling them the rebels, are here. And I'm sure the rebels will be lovely. That's the thing about the Middle East. When one government leaves, everybody celebrates because that government is usually heinous. And everybody goes, good, they're gone. You know what they did? They tortured people and they put them in cages and they, butchered people and they poisoned people. Everybody applauds. It's the right thing to do. We all feel good about it. We're like, good, get them out of there. You see that? The rape rooms. And then you go, all right, so who's on deck? Who's next? What are their plans? Do they involve rooms of rape? Do they involve torture? Do they involve any jail cells? Will there be a religious police? Perhaps. It's tough. It's tough to get excited about regime change in the Middle East. I'm an older man. I'm 39. Many of you younger people listen to this show. And, you tend to look at regime change in the Middle East like a wide-eyed young person. Maybe in your first year of college, you're getting laid, you're having fun, you rush. A sorority, you pledge a frat, you're meeting your lifelong friends. It's fun, it's parents' weekend, you're growing into the person you've always been meant to be. That is a type of person who looks at regime change in the Middle East with excitement. You're in awe. Oh my God, they lived under this totalitarian, brutal, evil regime. Jessica, you have no idea how bad, some of the people didn't even eat. I know. I feel you. As you get older, let's say if you are a 39-year-old ex-cocaine addict, homosexual, multimillionaire, you tend to look at regime change in the Middle East not as a negative, just as kind of like, hey, this is happening now, huh? That's what you look at regime as you get older, because I've been around long enough to know the rebels, and God bless the rebels. The rebels are led by Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, a group that grew from an al-Qaeda affiliate. Its leader, Abu Muhammad al-Jilani, was involved with militants battling American forces in Iraq following their 2003 invasion. And the State Department has a $10 million bounty for information on him. So he's on deck. He's on deck. He's up next. Now listen, do I blame him for fighting us in Iraq? Not really. I mean, what's he going to do, right? We get there in Iraq. He's trying to establish a caliphate. We're getting in the way of that. This is the thing about the Middle East, by the way. There's very few people in the Middle East who, under scrutiny, are going to really hold up when it comes to the people that want to run Syria. There's not that many people that want to run Syria that you'd have at your house at a barbecue, and when they started talking about the beliefs they had, you go, interesting. Most of these people are religious fundamentalists. They are militarists, meaning that, like Assad, they have a military dictatorship. It's a strong man. It's an authoritarian leader. That's not a region that has a democracy in their bones. They don't. It's a region that is run by petro dictatorships that lean on a enforced religiosity. So as an older person, as a person that has been around for a long time, I'm not happy or sad. I'm happy that the people got out of the butcher jail or the slaughter prison, and I hope they enjoy the 2 weeks they have before they're in the next one, because you just start eventually, and again, it's nobody's fault. It's someone's fault, but it ain't my fault. And as you get older, you actually stop. When things aren't your fault, you have to release yourself from them. This is true. This is controversial. People actually don't love this, but it is true. I didn't fuck up Syria. I'm probably, and I know this may shock you, I'm not going to fix Syria. You see, I'm trying to not have pancakes. I'm trying to make a better choice. You see, I'm not trying to fix Syria. I know a lot of people in our country are, and they have been. They've been fighting proxy wars in Syria with Russia for a very long time. I'm sure the Syrian people are great. I really am. I'm sure they're lovely, and I don't love the, can we get the photo of that toddler getting out of that prison? It's a perfect example of, this emotional appeal, which obviously we're all human beings. We all have. Make it bigger. This is a toddler getting out of the Assad prison. And of course, your immediate response is, oh my God, the brutality, the horror. To which I say, yes, but also, what did he do? Why is he in that jail? Are you naive enough to believe children are never dangerous? Are you naive enough to believe that there's an age at which children can never be dangerous? What was he trying to do? Why was he in that cell? I have had no explanation for that. If you think that 2-year-old isn't going to get out of that cell and raise havoc in the new Syria, I mean, hell, the things he'll do. Can you imagine that? This kid has more cred than anybody. That is the next leader. That is the next leader that is going to destroy the Middle East. That is the hardest photo I've ever seen in my life. Other than the Trump photo of him getting shot and then pumping his fist full of blood, going fight, fight, fight. That 2-year-old walking out of that jail cell is the hardest photo I've seen in my life. There is nothing that will ever compete with that photo. That guy is going to be a dictator. And if he is not, it is because he has made a lot of mistakes. But I'll tell you right now, nothing sets you on a path of domination like that photo.
Did you see the title of this article?
Yeah, toddler released from jail with hopes of Syria on his shoulders. Collapse of the Assad regime brings exuberant euphoria to Syrians across the globe, while new rebel leader faces new challenges ahead. This photo has come to symbolize the brutality. Has come to symbolize the brutality of the Assad regime, which, again, we are not minimizing, by the way. I don't want you to hear, just because I'm friends with Assad and his wife and his children, and I'll probably have dinner with them in Moscow, it doesn't mean that I don't recognize that mistakes were made. What I'm saying is the rebels, whoever these people are, I'm hoping and praying that they create a pluralistic, beautiful society in Syria that respects human rights and the rights of women, and they're a good partner, and that's the hope. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying the likelihood of that is low. That's all. The likelihood of that is low, and it is because I am old enough to have seen this movie before. I've seen it before. Now, I know they're releasing this one around Christmas, They're releasing this one around Donald Trump's inauguration. They're really trying to get stuff going, aren't they, before his inauguration? We'll talk about the fake alien invasion in a minute, but they're really trying to leave him a mess. They're really trying to get things going. They go to the Ukraine. They go, yeah, shoot these long-range missiles into Moscow. See how we can fuck all of this shit up. Then they're like, let's get Syria going. Because, by the way, none of this is an accident. Like, the rebels don't just accidentally topple the regime in Syria with a month before the inauguration. I hope listeners of this show are smart enough to know that this is not an accidental thing. Again, I'm not saying it's a bad thing or a good thing. It's a thing. I'm happy that 2-year-old got out of jail. God knows what he'll do, but I'm happy. And I think, again, he's setting himself up with that one photo alone to be a significant player in Middle East politics later on if he survives. But know this and be aware of it. Be aware of the fact that if in a year or two we are again at war in Syria, if we are again in the Middle East with fighting with the new Syrian government, the new leader, don't be shocked. Don't be shocked, and do not, I want you to remember this show when I told you this is how things in that region of the world work. It's almost like people around the world value different things, and you cannot always make people see things your way. You certainly can't do it at the barrel of a gun. We've tried to do that for many years. Also, this idea of endless immigration is the hope, this utopian dream that everybody from all over the world that comes to America is doing it to be an American and not because they want an economic opportunity. They're doing it to be an American. That's a big utopian dream. There's a lot of people coming to America probably because they want to make money. They want to send money back to the country they live in. And they want to retain a lot of the customs and the culture of the place that they came from. And some of those customs and some of that culture is probably diametrically opposed to American culture. And it's not as easy to assimilate certain people. It's not about race. It's not about anything. It's about culture. And it's about the ideal of what a country should be. Now, there's people in America that disagree on lots of things. We have vastly different views on lots of things, but there are core principles that we do agree on. We agree on freedom of speech, some of us. We agree on freedom of religion. We agree on some of the core principles. And if you're importing people from parts of the world that have no tradition of that do not believe in that actually believe that is an affront to their culture and the way that they live, you're going to have a little bit of a sticky situation. It's going to be an issue. So that's why this beautiful movie of the Assads fleeing Syria, released on Christmas, you will see again. This is not a movie that doesn't have sequels. This is a movie that every few years, the news goes, we are overjoyed to bring you some great news from the Middle East. Finally, the long-suffering people of blank have toppled the regime of blank. And blank has, it's Mad Libs. You can do it Mad Libs. And blank has fled the country and has been given a home in Russia or Iran. And they have fled the country. And here all the people are jubilant. They're happy, as I am for the people. And now they have the tough, and this is the way Americans talk and they do in the press, they go, they have a tough road ahead. They have a tough road ahead, and they have some real challenges to building a government. They have a tough road ahead and real challenges to building a government and we wish them the best. Now, of course, we're over there telling them exactly who to pick or how to pick. We're trying, whether it happens or not, we're trying. We're trying to do that. Let's take a look, though. And this is the reality show that I want to see. You know, everybody likes these shows in L.A. or New York, but I mean, they're all boring, right? These real estate shows, we've seen all of them before. We've seen all of the houses, and you go, you got to get it. You know, we all know how a basketball player or an actor or a musician or a finance guy lives, or a tech guy. We know. We don't need like season 8 of Selling Sunset. We're aware of how these people live, and, you know, they got a pool. Ooh, it's an infinity pool. It looks like it's going off the edge, but it's not. We know how they live. But this is the show that I would like, which is we go around the world into the palaces of toppled dictators that at one time we propped up and gave them the money to do all of this. Because this is beautiful. He was modern. The Assads were modern. They had a modern aesthetic. Pause this for a minute. Many dictators, and this is one of their shortcomings, aren't evolved in terms of their aesthetic. It's not working. It's old. It's very old. It's dated. It's stuffy. The decor it just feels like it isn't what it needs to be. And what's nice about the Assad torture palace is how clean it is. It's metallic. It's a little cold. I think that's maybe the critique. You got to find the balance. This is hard. You know, a lot of these palaces, Saddam's, for example, very gaudy, very big. You go very big, very gaudy. Yes, regal, but a little silly, a little ridiculous, over the top, you know? What the Assads have done is they've created a space, which I think is very important, that feels new and clean. Clean lines, metal, kind of marble, nice finishes, uncluttered, a little stark. Play the rest. A little stark. Perhaps that's the critique. There is wood paneling that warms it up. You have wood paneling in the library. You have, of course, the door, the very thick door. If any of the palace servants get going or if there's a coup, you know, I mean, you got to have the thick doors, or if your wife gets cute, you got to have all of the thick doors. But again, I mean, nice, bright, well lit, kind of nice as a dictator palace goes. These next guys coming in have big shoes to fill. A little Vegas in the bathroom. Do I love it? Do I love it? A little Vegas. A little Vegas in the bathroom. Not ideal. I love the ceiling. I like the chandeliers. I got to be honest, I like it. I know a lot of people, there's a few different styles here happening, but I think they're all brought together by this kind of sense of drama, because he knows how to create drama in a space. And you're doing it with kind of this marriage of this new modernist architecture, but also these large chandeliers and this wood paneling. You know, you're basically, so let's find out about these rebels, because I'm excited about these rebels. And I don't want anybody to listen to this show and think for even 1 second that I am a Debbie Downer or that I'm being cynical. I'm excited about the rebels. And that's what's being said probably somewhere in Washington, D.C. right now. I am excited about the rebels. First, the rebel coalition, now this is going to shock you, appears to be fragile. Do you see? This is the thing with rebels. They really agree that Assad's got to go. We do not like this guy. He's got to go. Everybody gets on board for that. This is how every coup, every government that's being toppled works. All the rebels get together and they have a meeting and it's fun. They sit around the fire and they go, hey, I hate you. You hate me. I raped your wife. You killed mine. But here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do. We need to try. Now, you believe in this version of the religion. I believe in that version. You believe the woman should be dressed in a full garbage bag. I believe she can have the slits out the eyes or whatever. I want to kill you and you want to kill me. And that's the way we do it. However, what we're going to do right now is lay our swords down. There's too much to be gained from a union. So all of these rebels, Turkish-backed rebels, you have rebels from Syria that are getting support, probably, I would guess, from maybe us. You have all these different rebel groups, and together they made it happen. Now, the HTS coalition of rebels had started outlining the basics of a state, publishing prison sentence guidelines for theft and criminal damage, as well as a plea not to settle scores or seek revenge. However, it remains unclear what the rebel group has in mind for Syria's future, and stories of war-torn states rising from the iron fist dictatorship to flourish into democracies are rare. And by the way, remember, I call this, Syria's will be as challenging as any. These are the two words that will always be used here. They go, this is very challenging. Our friend Luigi Mangione is finally in prison. And of course, he is the hot murderer of the United Healthcare CEO. He is the hot Italian anarchist murderer who had a secret gay life where he had sugar baby relationships with black men. How fucking hot is that? Let's all stroke to that. And, you know, he was buying Gucci sneakers for some black guys who were probably pounding him out. Luigi Mangione, God bless him. That's the deal. That's what it is. The way it's going to work, by the way, is like over the next few days or weeks, they're going to find out a lot about him, and it'll probably test like who supports him and who doesn't, because they're going to be like, wait a minute. So he was this socialist anarchist, but he was also like right wing and racist, but he was also like objectifying black men, but he also like didn't come out of the closet. And he also like fetishized black men, but he also like watch, the discourse is going to go off the rails for Luigi Mangione. There is no hero in America. We can't have a hero. We don't get a hero in this country, by the way. So if you think Luigi Mangione is your hero, wait a week. It's not going to happen. We don't get a hero because he was like everyone else. He's an American. So it's going to come out. All of these different things about his life are going to come out, and we don't get and don't deserve a hero. And we're going to go through every single thing that this guy ever did. Some of his sugar baby tricks are going to be out there going, you know, he said a few things that really made me uncomfortable. He didn't really respect my boundaries. But what I like, by the way, as someone who's bought sneakers for a few twinks, what I like is that they've all kept their mouth shut. None of them have appeared publicly, you know, any of his relationships or whatnot. Number one, this was a side of himself that I believed he was keeping a little quiet. Some of my friends who are, you know, pretending to be bisexual are very excited that they finally have representation in Luigi Mangione. I don't know about his sexuality, but everybody is speculating about his deal. But however, it is kind of being reported that he did have these gay relationships with men of color who he would visit and treat nicely. If you bring up the article, Luigi Mangione's Secret Gay Life. And this has been fascinating a lot of people who are, you know, it's very interesting. Yeah. According to Radar Online, Luigi Mangione would travel to gay bars. He'd be the only white guy there. And he was a closeted homosexual with a predilection. I don't know if predilection is the right word, but he had a preference for African-American men. Somebody said, we met at a gay club in Baltimore. He was one of the only white guys in the club, and he bought me a drink. Sean said the two went home together that night and enjoyed a long-distance relationship on and off for the next several years. He would see me when he was in town, and he was very generous. He would always buy me something nice from Hermes or Louis Vuitton. Those are my favorites, Sean claimed. He was a good guy, this guy. I mean, here's the thing. It's coming out. All of these things that are coming out about him aren't necessarily bad. He's spending money. Another man identified only as Tommy said Mangione clearly had a type. He was big into hip-hop and black culture. The think pieces are coming, by the way. But the two apparently kept their relationship shallow. We never talked politics or anything like that. Tommy said, much like Sean, Mangione showered him with pricey gifts. I'm an expensive friend. Luigi knew that and made sure that I was properly taken care of. So he's having fun in Maryland, blowing backs out or getting his back blown out or maybe doing both. And then he has this back surgery and he cannot go to Maryland and hook up with dudes, and he starts to go nuts. And then, of course, I understand that he becomes enamored with the inequity in the healthcare system and the evil depravity of our healthcare system, which we all know about. My mother was in a public institution until she died, and we used to have to fight with Medicare to cover things. I'm well aware of the placed rage at American insurance companies, but it is interesting to look at the psychological profile of this guy. He was an Ivy League, good-looking, well-educated, successful guy who was out there having fun, doing all these things, and then something happens. He has a back surgery, and he withdraws from society. He's in pain. He cannot do the things. His spine gave out, and he went off the grid. He got a gun. He made a plan. He followed through, and now he's in jail, and everybody loves him. And who's the jury going to be? You know, that's the real question. Now, obviously, the trial, it's going to be a year from now. People forget. I love all my friends who are like, nobody's going to convict him. I go, dude, people forget. One of my friends goes, there'll be 100,000 person protest at his trial. I go, dude, it's going to be a year and a half from now. Everyone's going to forget. I'm sorry. I know that right now it is the biggest story in the world. It is drama. It is forcing a long overdue conversation about healthcare. But in a year and a half, whenever his trial is, I don't think you can have 100,000 people. I don't think so. Americans move on pretty quickly. And I don't know how they're going to, it's going to be tough to find people that don't have a negative, because one of the questions they're going to have to ask when they put people in the jury box is, do you have a negative opinion of the healthcare industry? And most people are going to say yes. And the people that don't are crazy. They're like psychotic. Anyone that doesn't have a negative opinion of the healthcare industry in America works for the healthcare industry. There's no other way to do it. There's no other person in this country that doesn't have a negative opinion of the healthcare business. I mean, could you imagine? Are you sure? Yep. No negative feelings about the healthcare business. No, none at all. You sure about that? Okay. And what company are you the CEO of? Blue Cross Blue Shield. You have to be. You are either the CEO of a healthcare company in America, or you hate them. Even the rank and file people that work there probably hate them. But if you're not a genuine, like, high-level executive or CEO, you hate them. So the state who's prosecuting this case has to hope that the jury is 12 healthcare company CEOs. That's it. That's what they really have to hope. Otherwise, they might be in a little bit of trouble. Now, they're going to paint him as a psychopath who just wanted to kill anybody. That's what they're going to do. They're going to say he had a manifesto. He was a radical. He acted out violently, and the target of his violence was it's irrelevant. That's what they're going to say. They're going to say the target of his violence was irrelevant. Now, the defense, I believe, is going to come out and go, this man, and maybe by reasons of insanity, had a temporary lapse and temporary insanity that he lost his mind because of a medical condition. I don't know if they're going to go that route or not. That seems to be the smartest route. But I love, by the way, I'm just saying this, Mangione was wildly active online. Even had Letterboxd account for reviewing movies, saw Wicked before killing. I love that he saw Wicked. It probably pumped him up. Wicked probably pumped him up. And he heard that, defying gravity. And he was just like, all right, now I got to do it. I got to do it. He was probably pumped the fuck up from Wicked. And then he's like, fuck it, I'm going to do it. I was on the fence until I saw Wicked. Like a lot of people, my grandparents are not the most tech savvy. So it seems weird to get them like a tech adjacent gift. But let me tell you right now, Aura's digital frame is actually perfect. That's because, yes, it's tech, but it's so easy. These are the digital frames that, unlike a picture frame where you have one picture, you have an Aura frame that allows you to put multiple pictures in one frame. It's amazing. It's a conversation piece. Everyone loves it. It's so easy to get started, but once you do, the tech is incredible. I can upload photos right from my phone in just a click. It'll even pair photos together for me, like two pictures of the same person or on the same day, from the same day. It's so amazing. I love it. I love it. An Aura frame can save an awkward holiday event. Everyone just look at the frame and how beautiful it is. Nobody has to talk about tariffs. There's no memory cards or USBs required. There's a reason Wirecutter named it the #1 best digital frame. For a limited time, visit auraframes.com. Get $45 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames by using promo code TIM at checkout. This is a great way to support the show. And by the way, I love this gift, and I'm getting it for everyone. That's auraframes.com, promo code TIM. Okay? It is an amazing deal. I'm telling you, $45 off. Use code TIM. Listen, I sent my grandmother pics of our family vacation that we're taking that day. And I mean, my grandmother and her, she was like, it was wild. She was like, this is crazy. She was so excited to get the pictures from the family vacation. And again, it's just a fun way to get them on something positive and happy. All they want to do now is scream and yell. Get them on something positive and happy. Go to auraframes.com, promo code TIM. That's auraframes.com, promo code TIM. When you discover a new binge-worthy show or a song that you bump on repeat and you have to share it with your friends so they can experience just how awesome it is? That's kind of what it feels like when you discover Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for $15 a month when you can purchase a 3-month plan. It's such an awesome deal. There's no way you can keep it to yourself. Friends don't let friends overpay for wireless. Say bye-bye to your overpriced wireless plan and switch to Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you and your squad with premium wireless plans starting at $15 a month. All plans come with high-speed data, unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts. What? Ditch overpriced wireless with Mint Mobile's deal and get 3 months of premium wireless service for $15 a month. That's really an amazing deal when you think about it. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/Tim. That's Mint, M-I-N-T, mobile.com/Tim. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower, above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. Speaking of healthcare, speaking of the good people at healthcare, Americans spend more time living with disease than the rest of the world. This is very interesting. I remember talking to Louis about this, the comedian Louis C.K., and he made a good point that people in other countries, like doctors in other countries, are very different about life and death than they are in America. America, it's about winning. Doctors want to keep you alive at all costs, really no matter what your quality of life is, because it's about winning. And doctors in France, for example, will go, yeah, she could die. That happens. People die. But in America, it is, it's the movie Rudy. Like, it is, we are fighting to win. And it doesn't matter if a person is a vegetable. It doesn't matter if a person has zero quality of life. It is about the numbers. America is about the numbers. And it's about winning. And you win by going out to the waiting room and going, they are still with us. And they don't know who you are. They cannot speak. They cannot lift their hand, but they are here. Then you throw them in an assisted living, and then they're there, and they're in an assisted living where nurses, many of them good people from other parts of the world, wipe their asses and feed them, and you keep them alive in the same way that you would keep a cat or a dog alive at the end of their life when they could no longer run around in the yard. Like, the dog can no longer play fetch. The dog it's no longer, when you walk into the house, the dog's not excited to see you. The dog can kind of barely raise its head from the bed, and it looks at you with those eyes, and what the dog is saying is, kill me. But you can't. You have to sit down with the dog and explain it's about the numbers. It's not about you. It is not about you. People are living longer than ever before, but they're not actually healthier. And the number of years spent sick is only growing, according to a massive new study published in the journal. It's the JAMA, I forget. It's whatever it is, the journal, New American Medical Journal or whatever. While researchers found that this is a global phenomenon, the so-called health span, lifespan gap is wider in the U.S. than anywhere else in the world because it's about winning. In America, the gap between how long people live and how long they live in good health is over 12 years. So the goal here is to keep you sick and alive for 12 years, if possible. If you can be sick for 12 years, on average, in this country, and still work, and still consume, and still contribute to the economy, if you have only one working finger left, and that finger can press the DoorDash button that says order now, we keep you alive. We do not care about quality of life in America. It is not about quality of life. It is the fact that you are here. You're in America. That's it. That is all you get. You're here. You are participating with everybody else. You could be a billionaire too. That is the ethos. So sick people can still consume. They can still order food to their house. Many of them are on very pricey pharmaceutical drugs that we would rather keep them on. And they're alive. They're alive when their son is incarcerated. They're alive when their daughter overdoses in the bathroom. They are alive for the beautiful moments. We keep them alive for the beautiful moments. They are alive when their sister is taken to jail because of identity theft. They are alive when their husband is laid off from his job. We want them here to experience the beautiful moments. That's really what it comes down to. We will not let you die in this country if you can still consume and work. Not if you're you can't be too expensive to keep alive. That's when the Brian Thompsons come in. But you can live sick. That's what America's about, living sick. We don't mind that. You can vote sick. you can go and do the things we need you to do sick. The main takeaway is that, yes, lifespan has been increasing over the past 2 decades, but a lot of those years are not being spent in a healthy state. Not only does it inflate healthcare costs to individuals in their countries, it's simply not what most people want. If more people lived healthy lifestyles, a balanced diet, healthy eating, heart healthy, exercising, maintaining a healthy weight, and so on, the gap would most likely narrow, but we can't rely on individual willpower alone. Interesting. They agree that both behavioral changes and more effective healthcare practices will be crucial to closing the lifespan gap, which is so funny, the rage at RFK, the anger that he would go in there and smash the FDA, which he should. They're clearly, and I read some article in The Atlantic, it was kind of funny, and it was like one article, and the guy's like, maybe sugar is good when you're sick. Like every single article, and you clearly, Nestle, like paid him money. Because I have a little cold, and sometimes when you have a cold, you're like, well, I shouldn't, have any sugar. But you're like, maybe I can find one article. Maybe there's one article out there that says it's good. And lo and behold, it took me about 3 minutes, the Atlantic Monthly, and it's some like fake study published somewhere that sugar when you're sick can actually be good if you have a cold. So clearly, a lot of these people are on the payroll of these big corporations, and they're churning out very dubious research to prove the things that they're saying. And RFK is going in there and threatening their power base, and he's threatening the way things have been done. But it's so funny because in theory, all of these people know it needs to be done, but then when you bring up his name, they're like, no, fuck him. It's like, yeah, but you're agreeing in principle with everything he wants to do. Yeah, but fuck him. But this is a very American thing about winning. And if someone doesn't die and we keep them alive and we can say they've lived a long life, even if it's been hellish, even if it's been terrible, they hope that technologies like AI will soon help usher in an era of interceptive medicine, allowing doctors to identify people at risk of shorter health spans and intervene before chronic disease takes hold. A lot of the chronic diseases in America that we have are the result of the food supply. They are the result of environmental toxins in everything from furniture to the food you eat. And people like RFK are the only ones that I've ever heard talk about that. I'm 40 years old. I will be in a couple of months. And I've never heard anybody with a mainstream platform talk about toxins in food, environmental toxins, things like that, that contribute to chronic diseases. But that is like what America has become. It is kind of a big ward. It's a big hospital where everybody's sick with something physical and or mental, and often those things work hand in hand. So we're just living kind of in a big insane asylum, and we have all of these different ailments. And as long as you have enough energy to gamble on the internet, they consider you healthy in America. As long as you have enough energy to gamble money that you made on the internet, you're healthy. Health in America is about consumption. It is about they don't care if you can take a bike ride. The fuck do they care? They do not care if you can hike. Can you go to a casino? All of these wheelchairs, jazzy, scooters are designed so that people who cannot walk on their own can still participate in the only cultural monolith this country has left, gambling. Fat people on scooters are being put in front of a slot machine and being told to sit there until they explode because it is good for the economy. It is why you have so many, the Rascal scooter, the Jazzy, all of these things, because we cannot lose a customer. When someone dies in America, you're losing a customer. Everything has to be made easy for chronically ill people. Chronically ill people in America must be able to consume to gamble, to put themselves and their family in debt. If not, there's no point. We're going to talk now about a Christian missionary, a CEO. I'm sorry, not a CEO, a Christian missionary who was imprisoned by the Assad regime and has been freed. We have a Christian missionary who has been freed, a missing U.S. man in Syria where he says he was kept in prison for months after entering the country as a pilgrim. Travis Timmerman spoke to several outlets Thursday after locals saw him walking barefoot in the streets of southern Damascus. Thousands of people have been released from prisons across Syria this week after rebels toppled the country's former president. He traveled to Syria for spiritual purposes, and now we're going to watch the interview him. Now this is what he says, by the way. This is his quote. He says he was never beaten. Go back to his quote. He says he was never beaten, and he was, I think, treated nice. I was never beaten. The only really bad part was that I couldn't go to the bathroom when I wanted to. I was only let out 3 times a day to go to the bathroom. Interesting. So let's see his interview because he kind of liked it. This guy kind of liked it, which is, by the way, when you're really incredibly religious, I bet being in a Syrian prison is fun. This is kind of what happens when you're incredibly religious, when you're really deep in. This is all good. It all happens for a reason. You're like, hey, man, I'm in this prison, but it's good. I mean, look at this guy. Look at the eyes on this guy. Not a bad-looking guy. Look at the eyes on this guy. Let's watch.
How does it feel right now? You were here, you were held in prison, then you were freed, and then wandering the streets, and now everyone is surrounding you, but they're telling you you're safe. What's going through your mind?
I'm okay. I'm plain. My imprisonment was actually good for me.
That's right.
It was a time of solace, of
Correct.
meditation, and I'm stronger for it.
That's correct.
Did you hear about any other detainees, any other Americans while you were in prison?
No, I'm sure there weren't any other Americans there because I was held separately from most all of the other prisoners, and they would have held an American near me, and I would have heard my guard with him.
You just came in on your own for this religious pilgrimage, and did you cross the border legally, or did you just sort of find a hole in the fence and come in? How did you get here?
The Lebanese-Syrian border are mountains. They're sort of like the mountains of California. They're not massive mountains.
Wow.
And I left Zahle, Lebanon, and I walked 6 hours to that border.
That's right.
And I ended up living on that mountain for 3 days and 3 nights without food or water.
How biblical.
You said this was a religious mission. Was this sort of like following in the footsteps of Jesus, the road to Damascus, that kind of thing?
Well, I've heard the word of God. I've heard the word of God.
Well, he's heard the word of God, and he enjoyed his imprisonment in a Syrian facility, and I think that's nice, by the way. I think that's actually nice, and, you know, he walked over the mountains, he went into Syria, they put him in jail, and he said, let's find the positive. Let's see the upside in this. And, you know, other than the not letting him use the bathroom, you know, super nice guy. That's what people are saying. Super nice guy. And, hey, a lot of people are called to missionary work. A lot of them are called to missionary work, and a lot of the, missionary work is tough. A lot of people die. There's rare diseases. You get thrown in jail. Is he mentally well? I don't know, but perhaps he is, and perhaps this is something he felt like he was called to do. And we are excited that he's out, and now he can go somewhere else. He's not going to stop. He'll go to North Korea. Like, he's not going to stay. He'll keep going to places. You can see it in his eyes. He's not. He goes, and by the way, people enjoy jail. This fear of jail's got to stop. And I've told several members of my family this who, I imagine the new Trump administration is going to have a real talking to. And there might be some sentences handed out. And I think they'll grow and be very strong. Timmerman worked for the law firm Goldberg Law Group, based in Chicago, for about a year. The firm's managing partner, Michael Goldberg, told CNN on Thursday he was a really nice guy and pretty smart. Morgan & Morgan is America's largest personal injury law firm. I love Morgan & Morgan. They have 100 offices nationwide and more than 1,000 lawyers with over $20 billion recovered for over 500,000 clients, Morgan & Morgan has a proven track record of fighting to get you full and fair compensation. I mean, the most important thing when you're in any type of accident, once you have secured your physical safety, is to think about how to financially benefit. That's the first question you have to ask yourself. Was I wronged? And how much was I wronged? As you're wiping the glass off your face, you're to think, what is this? What does it mean for me? How does this impact my life? This is all true. You can laugh at it, but it is true. If somebody created a situation and that situation resulted in injury to you, that person is going to have to pay. That person or organization is going to have to pay, okay? Morgan & Morgan won an $8.2 million case against a Florida IHOP. Woman wins $3 million settlement over a hot coffee burn. If a person or an organization has created a dangerous situation in which you are a victim, it is time to get paid. Pay up. Pay up. That's the way it works. If you're ever injured, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. Their fee is free unless they win. Think about that. It is free unless they win. For more information, go to forthepeople.com/Tim or dial pound law, pound 529 from your cell phone. That's FOR, thepeople.com/Tim, or dial pound law, pound 529 from your cell. This is a paid advertisement. Florida teacher found naked in classroom with sex toys and weed on Thanksgiving. So what? The kids weren't there. Let's talk about this Florida teacher. And by the way, bring up his mugshot. He looks fun. Doesn't it look like a fun guy? Well, this gentleman who was a teacher, he's a former teacher at Somerset College Prep. He was naked inside the school. This was Thanksgiving night, and he was in the school, and he's naked, and he's in the classroom, and I believe he's got weed paraphernalia around him. And let's look at the story. Let's see what he is doing.
Jim and Liz, not only did Joe Arias allegedly break into Windmill Point Elementary, but when a deputy caught him naked in a classroom, that deputy confronted him. And according to law enforcement, Arias responded by punching the deputy in the face.
Well, yeah.
Joe Arias had himself quite a Thanksgiving night that eventually landed himself in a jail cell.
The more it unfolded, the weirder it got.
Deputy Eric Holbert lives at Windmill Point Elementary, one of the several deputies that live on school grounds in the county. Last Thursday night, Holbert spotted Arias, who is now a former teacher at Somerset College Preparatory Academy, naked inside the school. Holbert says when Arias saw him, he tried to grab his clothes and run.
I identified myself. I hold both hands up and said, "Deputy Sheriff, stop." And he said, "No, bro," and just tried to run through me. We tussled a little bit. He hit me here in the lip. I hit him in the jaw.
Right.
And I was able to hold him with a jiu-jitsu seatbelt grip.
Oh, good.
Arias is believed to have broken into the school through a window, triggering a silent alarm and police response.
Ensured that the perimeter was secure, inspected the grounds, didn't find any forced entry or signs of a burglary, and they
By the way, you know what's funny about this? If this was a school shooting, none of them would have went in the school. Like, all of these cops are like, they heard an alarm went off and they thought it was like a couple of kids in there. If it was a school shooting, all these like tough guy cops would have sat outside like they did in Uvalde and did nothing for 2 hours. They're like, yeah, I hit him with, I got a jujitsu, I put him in a jujitsu hold there. I fucking, you know. So this was a guy that just on Thanksgiving night probably didn't have anywhere to go, and he wanted to go into his classroom and get high and get naked in his classroom. And that is, you know, frowned upon. People don't like it. Let's see what else here. Yeah. He broke in. We know that. There's a large pillow that kids sleep on. There was some sort of stain on that. Well, it's not great. He was naked when I saw him, Hobart recalled. But why was he there? He said that he was homeless, and what he has been doing is teaching at his school and then hanging out at a Starbucks and then sleeping in public wherever he can. By the way, how many of our teachers are homeless? Probably a good amount. The deputy shared he knew this week that schools were out, so he was going to break into the school and stay there for the week. Now, teachers, obviously, I'm kidding, they get a decent salary, most of them. They should be able to afford an apartment or a home. The vulgarity, I don't even want to get into his mind to think about what he was thinking about. The chief said, I have no explanation for what he was doing. Yeah. Well, they fired him. It is creepy if your child was in that class. You're going to sit down with your child and go, what do you think about Mr. Urias? What was his deal? But it is interesting. I think they found him high in the class, naked, masturbating. And you don't want a teacher to behave in that manner. You don't want that if you can avoid it. You really don't want that. You never want to see a teacher out of a classroom. And, remember how awkward it was when you bumped into a teacher in real life? You're like, oh, hello. Hi, Mrs. Benedetto. But still, you want to see a teacher in a classroom, but you don't want to see them naked after hours jerking off on a pillow that the kids sit on. So this guy has mental problems, and he's probably not going to be able to get another gig. These things follow you. That's what I've learned. These things follow you in life. They really do. This is what'll follow you. It'll follow you. What happened at the last job? Well, did you relocate? Yeah, it was I punched a deputy, he punched me. It was masturbating in the classroom at night on Thanksgiving. You know how it is. And everybody totally freaked about it. This is what they call a career ending. This is a career ending behavior. Something in him snapped, and he just goes, I'm going to jerk off on Thanksgiving in that classroom. I'm doing it. I don't give a shit. What a weird move. Like, if he was a pedophile, what an odd move. Because that's the thought, right? He's jerking off in a classroom. Interesting. I wonder if other pedophiles, you didn't even fuck the kid. He's like, no, I just jerked off in the class. And they're like, and you lost your job for that? It sounds reasonable if you're another pedophile. If you're another pedophile, you're like, wait a minute, hold on. You lost your job just for jerking off on Thanksgiving night in your own classroom? And no kids were there. Yeah, that's nuts. Like, if you're another pedophile, it seems like he took the path of least resistance. And everybody's like, why would he lose his job just because he was found naked on Thanksgiving jerking off in his classroom? Why would he lose his job? That doesn't make any goddamn sense. So one of the last episodes of the year here, it's interesting. We have the new Trump administration coming in, and obviously we are now at the fake alien invasion stage, and I am so proud of our country. By the way, I'm rarely proud of our country. Let me tell you why I am proud of our country. The government over the last few years has been like a nagging mother that you found that she was cheating on your father drunk. You came home early one day, and you saw her having sex with someone drunk, and it was bad. Maybe it was anal or something. It was. You could never look at her the same way again. Maybe she was doing anal, like you open the door and the plumber was fucking her in the ass, and she was drunk, and it was like 3 p.m. or something, and 2:30, and she didn't know you were coming home early from school, and she thought you were staying after for practice, but they had to cancel the practice. So you've seen your mother taking it in the ass in the afternoon with a tradesman, union guy. And you can never look at her the same way again. And you don't really listen to her anymore. And she keeps turning up the heat all the time on listening to her. She's like, well, what if we were in a nuclear war with Russia? Would you listen to me then? It's like, I saw you getting fucked in the ass by the plumber. Well, what if Syria fell? And you're like, I don't even know where that is. I don't care. All right. If there was an alien invasion, would you listen to me? Would you forget you saw me getting fucked in the ass when you got home? That's where we're at. I don't know what these drones are. Here's what I think they're not. They're not from Iran, by the way. Can we stop? Iran. This is the new game. Everything's Iran. Iran's just launching drones all over the country, and our military could do nothing about it. No. And I don't know if it's aliens, but I don't think it is, because they keep doing shit like this and saying it's alien. But remember the spy balloons and the this and the that and all this aerial? We don't know what it is and why is it here. But here's why I'm kind of proud about our country. There's some news stories about this. There's some chatter on X and, on threads and stuff. But for the most part, people, unless aliens land on Earth and start rounding everybody up, no one really cares. No one really cares. No one cares. And I think there's something really nice about that. Whatever light show they're putting on up there, for whatever reason, ignore it. Ignore it. If aliens are here, you'll know. And this might age poorly if they land tomorrow and kill everyone, but I don't care. If aliens are gonna land and destroy all life, you'll know. You will not have to debate it. You will not have to. This is some type of op. Ignore it. Ignore it. Ignore the light show in the sky. Ignore this. It is of zero consequence to your life until a spaceship lands at Chick-fil-A and rounds you up. You are to ignore this. And that's why I'm very proud of the level of apathy. The only way we're going to be able to get out of anything is apathy. If they continue to make you care about things that have no effect on your life, it's going to drive you insane, and then you're going to destroy your own life, which is what they want. They want you to destroy your own life and care about things that have no value to you. And the reason they want you to do that is because that will make you a very pliable, malleable person that they can tell anything to because you're insane. That's what happens. When you care about things that you can't control and have no impact, you can have no impact on, and you take your eye off the ball, and the ball is your own life, then you are a perfect sitting duck for whatever bullshit they are going to shovel on top of your corpse. This is what they want. So here is the CBS Morning segment here on the mysterious New Jersey drones.
The growing concern over what are now dozens of unexplained mysterious drone sightings in the state of New Jersey. Yesterday, the Pentagon weighed in, saying there's still no evidence the drones are from a foreign threat.
What's going on?
That is not all that reassuring, and there's a lot we do not know. Tom Hansen has more.
Across New Jersey, the sense of unease is growing.
It's wild, honestly.
It's wild.
Every single day there's more conspiracy theories.
Olivia DiMatteo is a businesswoman in Morris County who says the drone sightings have been happening for weeks.
Have you seen them yourself?
I have. They are out every single night in Mendham. You can look out your window and see anywhere between 4 to 8 of them.
Some of the devices, she claims, are the size of small cars. The state's governor, Phil Murphy, says there's no concern over public safety. One New Jersey congressman, Jeff Van Drew, made waves Wednesday when he stated that sources with high-level security clearance told him the drones were coming from what he called an Iranian mothership offshore.
I hope that my experts...
Of course. Wouldn't you if you were Iran? Because, you know, America's not going to respond violently. Wouldn't you? If you were Iran, by the way, Iran is watching all of this going, what the fuck is going? The idea that Iran is launching all of these drones all over America, and that, do you understand how quickly we'd be in a war with Iran, folks? Do you understand how quickly we would be in a war with Iran if they did that? If this was genuinely Iran, do you know how quickly we'd be in a war with Iran? 5 minutes? 6 minutes? Do you know how quickly... This hilarious. They're like, well, it's no threat to public safety. We think it might be Iran. They have a couple of ships that came in, and they're launching drones all over the country. There's nothing we can do. I am betting, and I could be wrong, this is a U.S. government operation to further. They're testing stuff out. They're seeing how it works. People go insane. It's all good. It's all positive. Yeah, nobody's freaking out about it, which is, I think, good. I mean, there's a few people that are freaking out on social media, but they freak out about everything. I think the apathy of the American public may save us. The apathy of the American public may save you. They're going to try to get you to care about all these things because they want to drive you insane. There's no other reason for it. You know, we are now watching in real time every golden calf, so to speak, that whether it's the idea of celebrity, the authority that the government once had, or the media, all of these things have been falling. And they've been falling because their credibility, I mean, recently it just came out that the FBI had 26 controversial informants in January 6th, which would have been a crazy conspiracy theory a few months ago and now is a fact. People are looking around them and realizing that the level of disinformation that they've been getting is unreal and wild. And the only way out is apathy, is to ignore. Because if you ignore someone, really, there's not much they can do. And whatever Hollywood special effects type of light show, James Cameron, Avatar 3, drone strike thing, no one in our government seems panicked. Nobody in the media seems panicked. Nobody's treating it like an alien invasion. Everyone's treating it like something that, now maybe again, maybe, who knows? We don't know what any of it is. But I'm telling you, my instinct is that it is an op. My instinct is that we know exactly what these things are and we know why they're there. I don't think we're letting things in our airspace. We have no idea what they are. I think we have an idea of what they are. I would be shocked if the Pentagon and NASA and all of these people had no idea what any of this stuff was. And it was just flying around America. Well, it might be Iran. We think Iran's sending drones to the airports. And there are spy balloons. There are nefarious actors all over the globe. And I'm sure that, so those things are real and they try to do all those things. But this idea that there's a large-scale drone attack from Iran, if it is Iran, it's not Iran. In my estimation, it sounds like something else. And I don't think it's aliens. I think it's us. That's what I think, and I could be wrong. It might age poorly. I don't know. Let's see the rest of this this representative here from Jersey.
Me with this security clearance. I hope they're wrong.
So I'm hearing concerns, but do you have any concrete evidence that these drones are in fact coming from Iran?
The evidence that I have comes from individuals who have expressed their concern to me, who are highly placed.
The Pentagon has directly pushed back on those claims.
There is no Iranian ship off the coast of the United States, and there's no so-called mothership launching drones towards the United States.
And while law enforcement works to track down the source of the drones, there have been reports of sightings in the Philadelphia and New York City areas. For CBS Mornings, I'm Tom Hansen in Mendham, New Jersey.
That's some scary stuff.
I don't know. A bunch of yahoos got.
Is it some scary stuff? Is that what it is? They're all on cue. That's scared. That's some scary stuff. Be scared out there. We like you scared. That's some scary stuff. There's mysteries of the drones, and I'm undeterred. I'm unafraid. If the aliens land, they land. Enough. We going to talk about it for 3 weeks like a loser? Enough already. Maybe the aliens are landing and they're going to take over Syria. Maybe they want Syria. Maybe that's why they came. And straighten it out. The aliens, 3 years later, we'll be like, well, those aliens that took over Syria, that didn't really work out, did it? They're locking people up. They got the rape rooms back. They never got rid of that jail. They're still keeping that jail, by the way. You know what's funny about all of these Mideast things that happen when somebody gets toppled, and they go, we're letting the slaughterhouse open. They're opening the butcher block, and all these people walk out of the jail. And then they go, so are you going to destroy the jail? And they're like, well, it's history. You can't destroy history. We got to keep history. Good night, everyone.